What up, people? This is your Cosmic Homegirl, and I'm doing a weekly forecast for all of us. This is a general forecast, aka the Cosmic Weather Report, for the week beginning July 5th of 2020 and ending July 12th of 2020. So I hope everybody is safe. I hope everybody is well. And those who are in the US and A, I hope you guys had a great weekend if you celebrated the holiday. So, let me just dive right in. Let's just get straight to business, right? Because we have a lot of Capricorn energy in the air, and Cappy is all about that business, okay? We just came off of an eclipse in Capricorn. That means the moon was in Capricorn and the sun was opposing it in Cancer. And this is the last Capricorn eclipse that we're going to see for a while. Eclipse cycles, they repeat themselves. Like the north node and south node determine where the eclipses are. And the north node and south node are in Gemini and Sagittarius right now, but they just entered there a couple months ago. But for almost 2 years, they were in the signs of Capricorn and Cancer. So they were highlighting that axis. So that's why we are wrapping up the eclipses now on the Cancer Capricorn axis. So this eclipse cycle in Capricorn and Cancer started in 2018. I believe it was summer of 2018. And now this is the last one in Capricorn. I think we have a lunar eclipse in Cancer at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. But let's take a look-see here at the ephemeris and be nerds real quick. Yeah, it looks like December 29th of 2020, we have a full moon eclipse in Cancer. So that's going to be the last one on this axis for a while. Usually eclipse cycles, the north and south node cycles repeat themselves once every like 18 years or so, but they flip around. They go through the signs like once every like 8 to 9 years. They will have the opposition lit up. For example, like right now it's on the axis of Sag and Gemini, but like 8 or 9 years ago it was the south node in Gemini and the north node in Sagittarius. Okay, so we still had eclipses in those signs, but the eclipse cycles, as far as like what degrees and the axis of the nodes, those repeat themselves like roughly around every 18 years or so. So now let's look into what's cracking in the sky. July 5th, we start off with the moon in Capricorn lining up with Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. Okay. So I already talked about this eclipse. I talked about this eclipse in the July video. So if you want to see the general forecast for July and like look ahead at stuff, I do have that video up on my YouTube, and I will do my best to link it here if I can remember. But we also, what was I saying? Oh yeah, we have the July video. I also talked about the eclipse in last week's weekly video too. So if you want more information on that eclipse, check it out. But the eclipse was at 13 degrees of Cap in Cancer, so it wasn't exactly aligned with Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. However, this lineup continues even after the eclipse. And the eclipse marked itself in the sign of Capricorn, where these planets are continuing to transit through. And Capricorn, it rules the government, the military, the police force, any positions of authority and power. It rules the rules, the structure of our societies. It rules also business and corporations and career, okay, and success, the highest achievement of success. So anything to do with any of those things may see some sort of huge shift and change personally in your personal life and your own world, but also we'll be continuing to see them globally and internationally and whatever. So there's like stories that are out, that have been out actually for this whole year, especially once we had like especially once these planets became closer together in 2020, we have, things that are happening that are being more reported on when it comes to the government, the presidents, the world leaders, also like the police force. These planets, they are about destroying, and first of all, Saturn and Pluto are about destroy and rebuild. Pluto is about like burn the motherfucker down and then see what rises up from the ashes to be reborn. Saturn is about, okay, there's some holes in this structure. Something isn't right with it. So we have to tear it down brick by brick and then rebuild it and make sure there's no holes in it so that it is sturdy and steady for the long run, for the long term. And Jupiter is about teaching, and it also magnifies, it expands. And I say Jupiter is like a magnifying glass, but it's also like a telescope, and it's like a projector screen too. So anything that's going on in our worlds in the sign that Jupiter is in is going to be magnified. It's going to be published and put out there in the news. And also Jupiter is about truth. So what is the truth about Capricorn things? Okay, that is what Jupiter is blowing up in publications for us to all see and know about. So that's why there's like things that have to do with the police force. They're under attack, they're under fire, they're being called to restructure, to tear down and restructure the way that they do things. The military as well. And that's what this eclipse in Capricorn has been bringing up. And I've been discussing this with one of my fellow astro homegirls. She's been putting me on to some of the things that have been going on, like the case of Vanessa Guillen with the military. Man, that shit is messed up. What happened. All the stuff that's happening is jacked up. You know what I'm saying? But my homegirl has been doing some research on it, and astrological research, so I was really put onto that. I'm a Pisces moon, I'm very sensitive and I try to shield my eyes and my mind away from a lot of stuff that goes on, not because I don't care, but it's the opposite, because I'll care too much and I'll get all in my feels and just wallow and dwell, and I'll want to save the world and I'll exhaust my energy because I can't save the whole damn world. And you know what I'm saying? So if you're a Pisces or you're a Neptunian or a 12th houser out there, you feel me, because like we're big time empaths, you know what I'm saying? And some of us can't really handle all that stuff too much, or too much of it. We might dibble and dabble and kind of catch some headlines or catch some whatever, some stories, some sob stories from people, but we really feel the pain of others like too deeply that sometimes we have to kind of protect our energy. So I don't always, watch the news or speak on things that are in the news, get too in depth with stuff like that. One of my other astro homeboys, he like messaged me, oh, did you hear about this and that, and like some story that's apparently a big story, but I had no idea about it. I'm like, wow, I didn't know, because I'm not trying to look at everything to kind of protect my energy. You know what I'm saying? It's not about trying to be dumb or ignorant. It's the emotional thing. But yeah, one of my homegirls was putting me onto that story, and like the military, this whole eclipse in Capricorn, this case with Vanessa has been building up, with this eclipse. And so now the military, there's a big magnifying glass on them, like, what do we have here? What kind of practices do you guys have here? Oh wow, there's some holes in this structure, Saturn. Okay, well, maybe some things need to be torn down and rebuilt, meaning some laws have to change. The old ways, Capricorn rules the old ways, the tried and true that have been around for ages, for centuries, for years, whatever. And then when there's all these like these destructive planets together in that sign, they're destroying the old ways, especially when they're retrograde. It's like, let's review, let's go back over the old ways and tear down anything that does not work, that's not efficient anymore, and rebuild it, or burn the shit down and then rise something new above it from the ashes. Okay, so Saturn just went back into Capricorn what was it, last week? And notice how, the heat has been on with a lot of the stuff that I just talked about, and then this eclipse was building up too. I mean, hey, astrology doesn't lie. I say it all the time. Astrology doesn't lie. We can't always pinpoint every single thing exactly and predict every single thing exactly that happens. But when the math adds up, it adds up. Okay. And astrology is like just nothing but a bunch of nerdy math problems. I was just telling one of my friends that the other day. It's nothing. I mean, there's like a lot of intuition involved, and there's a lot of other parts of yourself and your brain involved. Yeah, there is a little bit of magic sprinkled in, I guess you could say, because intuition is considered to be kind of magical, because you can't always produce tangible proof that you just knew something before it happened, or you just know something about somebody without them verbalizing it to you. Like, so I guess that's quote unquote magical. There is some of that in the mix with astrology, yes, but it's also like a bunch of angles and math and numbers and measurements and all this nerdy stuff, right? So anyway, we're coming up off of this eclipse in Capricorn. And I hope everybody, I did post some horoscopes in my my Instagram stories. I did post them a little late because I was running around doing a lot of errands and helping some of my peoples out this weekend that were actually first of all, you guys, the Rona is real. I know I crack jokes, and I do that as a form of a coping mechanism whenever things are too serious. I got that from my dad, actually. I'm pretty sure my dad has some Sagittarius and Virgo in his chart. I still don't have his birth time. I'm working on that. But I just energetically feel like he had Sagittarius and Virgo. And those are two signs that tend to do that. Like, whenever there's stuff that's too heavy going on, like Virgo will be sarcastic, to try to downplay the severity of the situation so they don't get too like caught up with their nerves and anxiety about things that are terrible. You know what I'm saying? And Sagittarius, it's not that Sag doesn't care, doesn't give in some ways they don't, but sometimes there are things that affect that sign, but they will still turn things into like jokes and memes and humor that some people are like, oh my God, that's so harsh. But it's a coping mechanism a lot of times, to not have to face the severity of things. Once again, to not get too caught up in your feels about stuff. And my dad was like that until his last days that he could even speak. He was out of it, terminally ill, but still cracking jokes. And I take that to heart, to still, I was raised like that, and I'm still like that, and I will be like that until my last days. If people get offended, whatever, then you're not my true peoples. You don't really understand that there's no malice, no malicious intent, no ill intent behind it. But anyway, I'm just saying that to say, I'll crack jokes and say the Rona and La Rona and all that stuff, but it's real though. It's real, you guys. I have a couple of people very close to me that have been affected by it, and it is real. So please be safe out there. Okay. All right. So now done with the public service announcements. Let's see what else is going on energetically this week. So honestly, you guys, there's not too many major aspects that are new or any new planetary ingresses into different signs. Not this week. I'm not going to say it's calm, because 2020 is not a calm year at all, right? But as far as like major planetary activity, not too much, to be honest, this week. So the moon shifts into Aquarius on July 6th. And so from July 6th until July 8th, we have the moon in Aquarius. So those are days to where you may feel more like an alien in this world and look at humanity from a detached point of view, like as if you don't belong to it, and be annoyed by humanity. Aquarius energy can go either way. It's either you feel you separate yourself from humanity and you say like, oh my God, humans, I cannot believe this behavior, and I'm so glad I'm an alien, I'm not part of this, or you can go the opposite way and be like, oh, all of my fellow humans or aliens or whatever my peoples are, we all must gather together and do this and do that and fight for the rights of us and blah, 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 blah. So Aquarius energy can go either way. So Moon and Aquarius days are where we can have either vibe, or we may switch back and forth between the two, right? They're ones to where you feel more, your inner hipster comes out too, where you're like, I discovered this person, this artist before everyone else did, and therefore all of you followers now know that they're cool, but I knew that they were bomb before you. Like, that's hipster stuff. That's all like, excuse me, ruled by Aquarius. But yeah, the social justice warrior and a lot of people comes out during Moon in Aquarius days too. Just trying to gather people together for a common cause or issue or whatever. Moon in Aquarius days, yeah, you do sometimes feel alienated and like your inner weirdo comes out, and you just, like Tupac was a Mars in Aquarius, and he threw his middle finger up a lot, you know. That attitude is very Aquarian, and it's very much the ruling planet of Aquarius, which is Uranus as well. And the moon will end up squaring and challenging Uranus and Taurus, either on the 6th or 7th. Like, yeah, I would say it's gonna build up on the 6th. By the time it gets to be exact, it may be the 7th. Yeah, like late on the 6th, here in the US, or, you know, on the 7th elsewhere, more west of the US and whatever, and the eastern US. Okay, but anyway, so the moon and Uranus will square each other, which can present challenges. You know, Uranian energy is funny. It's like, sometimes it is you, and Aquarian counts too. You put your middle finger up to things and to people just because sometimes, but sometimes, a lot of times, it's not just because, like, you just want to be an asshole or a rebel, you know. Sometimes it's because you really do see, like, that something that isn't true to you, you feel allergic to it, and you want to go the opposite way. And what people expect of you, you are on a mission to do the opposite, or to be the opposite. So some people may experience feelings of that. I know it's probably when most people are asleep, but this energy does carry into the 7th also, at least like early in the daytime. Yeah, at least like in the morning time. You know what I'm saying? So some people might wake up in the morning, at least here in the US, and maybe even, you know, Europe and other eastern parts, like with this totally like Tupac attitude, you know. Like, you know what, I was thinking, I was remembering that two of my favorite Tupac songs, a lot of people don't even know them because they're from his earliest albums, and most people only know him from like Death Row and beyond, you know, All Eyes on Me and beyond. But my dad was a Tupac fan, so when I was a little girl, I was hearing like his early albums and stuff too, and his song I Don't Give a Oh my god, I love that song. Like, my dad used to rap it all the time and crack jokes and stuff, you know. And then also Rebel of the Underground, I love that song too. I like the beat, and I just love Tupac's attitude. So this moon in Aquarius and then square Uranus may give people a Tupac vibe when they go to work, maybe bumping Tupac on the way, and, you know, maybe wanting to give their boss a middle finger, but at the same time, hey, job security in these crazy days, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't encourage it, but hey, if that's your attitude, that's your attitude. What can I say? It's totally relatable. Trust your homegirl. But yeah, so the moon will be in Aquarius July 6th through the 8th. Now, I wanted to talk about this aspect here that's building up this week, though. Mars and Chiron. They won't come into an exact conjunction until next week, but I think it was like the 14th when I clicked on this. But Mars and Chiron, that conjunction is building up and has been building up since last week. So Mars and Aries, especially because Mars rules Aries, is a very fighter energy. It's fighting, a fighting spirit. It's having a lot of passion. I've noticed that in myself and other people, that we're a lot more passionate. Um, People, when they are speaking about things, especially things that are very true to themselves, because Aries is about the self, but also Aries isn't just about, oh, just my own self solo. Aries energy can be about who you consider to be like you, who you see as a reflection of yourself, whether that's based on your skin color, your country of origin, your religious beliefs, if you belong to any type of labeled group, or if you just have friends, or even maybe your blood family, but maybe not even them. Maybe it's like friends and people that you're very close to, that are near and dear to you. Aries energy is very protective of their own in a very raw, primal, passionate way. So I noticed that people are really coming off with this attitude. And I will say this, I admire I really like that about the Mars and Aries energy, the passion that it brings. I do like the fighting spirit that it brings to people too. um I'm a lover, not a fighter myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm double water. I have a moon in Pisces. I have 7th house stellium. I have Libra stellium. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying, I try to remain peaceful and neutral. I have all this Taurus energy. Taurus is a peace loving cow that just likes to graze in the grass, not bothered. You know what I'm saying? But when I see that in other people, it's like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah. That's not really me all the time, but I'm like, yeah. So continue to have that spirit. If you guys have it, actually, it is motivating me too. You know what I'm saying? A little bit in my personal life with personal things, I would say. But I really like the passion that it brings other people. Now, when it comes to Chiron, Chiron is the asteroid that's called the Wounded Healer, and it can rule where you have been hurt in your life. Whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally, or whatever. So Chiron and Aries, what I said Aries represents earlier, a lot of people are experiencing like a wound that has to do with maybe their roots, where they come from, who they consider their people, quote unquote, to be, or their identity or their self. You know, maybe they feel like that their identity is under attack for some reason, or people that they feel they share the same type of identity with are under attack. So Mars and Chiron together is people having that fighting spirit against that wound, against that pain, protecting themselves and their loved ones against that pain that is inflicted, that has to do with the self and the identity and maybe the appearance, the body, anything like that. So this is why I'm like, yo, I talked about this in the general July forecast. People are going to be really popping off in July when it comes to their own and themselves and protection of either. Okay. Excuse me. That sounded ugly, right? I'm sorry. But yeah, protection of either. And then we have those planets are squaring Mercury retrograde in Cancer. And Mercury in Cancer, I've already talked about this before, is very nostalgic on its own, but then when it's retro means going back, which is also nostalgic. So going back to the past, excuse me, and Cancer also has to do with protection of your own, protection of your family, or who you are very emotionally attached to and care about a lot, who you share a lot of your empathy with. That's Cancer energy. So people are they're speaking about who they are protective over. And maybe there's some things about the past that have to do with their identity, their beliefs, their people, whatever, that are coming up. And then the square to Chiron is challenging, it's speaking in a way that's like challenging all that stuff. So, and also we have the sun in Cancer. It's not really making too much of an aspect to Mars and Chiron anymore. That's kind of fading away as July progresses, but still, it's like that energy is still in the air, present. So yeah, we've got 3 cardinal signs in the air that are all about protecting your own, protecting legacies, protecting families, protecting your roots, your history, um, in July. So that's why there's so much in the air that's reflecting in what you see in the news and stuff like that. So, anyway, yeah, that's what's going on in July, but that energy is super present in this week that I'm covering as well. So yeah, just Mars and Chiron. Hopefully it's no one actually inflicting physical pain upon anyone, because sometimes Mars can do that. Mars can rule injury and accidents, and Aries rules the head, and then there's Chiron, and I gave everybody warning about this in the July video too, that just be careful, be mindful of like head injuries and accidents and stuff. And even if you have something minor, like a minor, you bumped your head and you think it's minor, yo, go get it checked out, please, because hold on, go away, because I told you guys before, like, I know someone that I once cared about a lot, and something like that happened to them, and it was very serious. You know what I'm saying? So don't take any of that stuff lightly. There was one time, I'll tell like a short story time, and I swear it's related to this. I don't even know what my transits were, because honestly I can't even remember the date. I still have the hospital bracelet from that because I'm a Taurus and we keep everything, right? But I'd have to dig for it. But there was an incident that happened to me back in my little younger, wilder days. When I was one of my homegirls, she liked to fight a lot. She's a very Mars dominant, Mars dominant chick. We went out all the time, but she was always wanting to fight and scrap with everybody. It didn't matter if it was a dude, if it was a chick, it didn't matter. She was like talking shit to this dude, getting in his face, and I could tell he was about to, like, he wasn't taking her shit. So I walked up and I got between them. Of course, the seventh houser, being a mediator, I was like, yo, I was telling her, like, look, just let it go. And I was trying to pull her away, like, yo, just let it go. And I told the dude, I'm like, yo, I was trying to push him a little bit. Not like in a mean way, but I was like, yo, just chill, man. Just chill. I'm going back and forth between them. Like, no, 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 no. And she's still like, I'm trying to hold her back. And she's still like, blah, 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 like barking at this dude. So he swung at her. But the punch barely like grazed her face. And it landed in the back of my head. And I guess I had blanked out for like, I don't know how long, still standing. And the next thing I know, this EMT is there and they're like asking me if I'm okay. And I was like, yeah. Then I looked around. I'm like, where's my homegirl? Where's everybody at? And why is old dude over there on a stretcher? Like, this was a different friend got knocked out. You know what I'm saying? And they stomped on his head. It was crazy. It was so crazy. But I was like, no, I'm good. And they were like, yo, you need to come with us to the hospital, the EMT. I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I can drive myself home. I am absolutely fine. Freaking Taurus stubbornness, right? And they were like, no, listen. There are times when people have a head injury, they get a concussion, they feel fine, but then they go home, they go to sleep, and then they don't even wake up the next day. And I was like, dun, dun, dun. And then my Scorpio kicked in, like all paranoid. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll go to the hospital. But I'm going to drive myself. Still being stubborn. Yeah, so I did go to the hospital. They did give me a CAT scan and all that. And they kept me there. And I was like all hella stubborn, like, yo, I'm fine. Can I go home now? They're like, no, we need to watch you. I was like, okay, whatever, but I'm fine. And so they were watching me the whole night. And then when they finally released me, they said, yo, make sure you have a trusted friend to call you in the morning after you go to sleep. Call a friend before you go to sleep. Tell them what happened and have them call you to make sure you're waking up. And I was like, all right. And I did that. So because I think I was probably like barely 21 going out to clubs and shit, So I was like, whatever. But I know now, unfortunately through loss, why that's so important. How does this relate to astrology? Because Aries rules the head. Mars is in Aries. Chiron is hurt and pain. Mars is injury. So I'm telling you guys, like, this is for real, for real. Be safe out there. Be careful. Okay? All right. So also I want to talk about Mercury is going direct during this week that I'm covering. It doesn't go direct until the 12th, but it's slowing down its retrograde cycle. Excuse me, it's slowing down, and then it's going to get down to the 5th degree this week. And 5 degrees of Cancer is a repeat of June 2nd. So the beginning of June is when Mercury was around these degrees where it's slowing down, and then it's going to sit there for a second, then it's going to go direct. So whatever was going on at the beginning of June, if you can even recall, because the world is so damn crazy now, like how can anybody remember? It's like hard to remember like what day it is and what time it is and everything. But if you can recall around June 2nd, what was going on, and if you're a super astro nerd, if you know where 5-6 degrees of Cancer is at in your birth chart, and what that area rules, then you'll know like what's up for review and revising and looking at for a second time. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that I wanted to mention that too. Okay, so now we have the moon in Aquarius until July 8th, and then it goes into Pisces for a few days. So moon in Pisces days, your inner mermaid, your inner fairy comes out. Your inner unicorn comes out. You just want to be more chill. It's a lot more chill energy, and escapism is all the way real when the moon's in Pisces, especially in the days coming when it's going to be in a conjunction with Neptune. Looks like that's more July 9th and 10th. The moon in a conjunction with Neptune. Ooh, that's my lunar return. Child, I have to look at my lunar return. It's very telling. If you guys have never looked at your lunar return, they have them for free on astro.com or astrodienst or astro.com, whatever. You can look up your lunar return horoscope. Yo, it's so telling. I do offer those on my website, but I am not taking any new readings at this time. But the lunar return is when the moon comes back around to your moon sign and degree every month, and it'll kind of give you a hint of what's going to happen the coming month emotionally. And if you are in a relationship or dealing with anybody else with your emotions, it tells you so freaking much, like relationship stuff, even job, everything. It tells whatever you're emotionally involved with, attached to, it tells everything. So you guys gotta check out your lunar return. I don't know if I've done a video on it yet, but if not, I'll write it down as an idea if you guys want to know more about it. But yeah, the moon and Neptune together looks like it's like the 9th and the 10th of July. That's super dreamy energy, mermaid energy. You just want to escape reality. So people may be tuning more into watching movies or, just things that are not based on like the harshness of the world, or maybe just more in your own zone. When the moon's in Pisces with Neptune, more in tune with music. And also, if this is in the early morning on the west coast of the US, if where you're at, it's still like the morning time when these two are coming in conjunction with each other, your dreams will be off the chain more than likely, because Neptune and Pisces rule dreams and spirituality. So moon and Pisces days are really excellent for prayer, for manifestation of things, by connecting to the spirit world, however you do and whatever you believe in. But yeah, music, and it's hard to stay focused, and you might oversleep. So that's just a fair warning of those days with the moon there. And then the moon goes into Aries on the 11th. Is it? Like the 10th, late at night, or the 11th, depending upon where you're at. Moon in Aries, yo, but listen, on the 11th, though, that day, that's a Saturday. Okay, so on the 11th, we're going to have Moon, Mars, and Chiron together. So people might be angry AF on that day and really have that fighting spirit that I was talking about, that fighting Aries spirit, especially about protecting their own. You know what I'm saying? Mars goes 8 degrees of Aries that day. It shifts into that, even closer to Chiron. Yeah, so the 11th, people may have like hella attitude Moon and Aries days do that anyway, but now we have the moon and Mars in Aries. So people may be like, you hurt me, so F you, and you know, just bringing up stuff from their childhood or the past and just throwing the middle finger up because of stuff like that, or even something in their more recent past, or something that's going on right now that hurts them, people, that term that people say, those are fighting words. Yeah, those are fighting. There will be fighting words that are spewed, or words will be taken more as being fighting words. People will be more sensitive about stuff. Excuse me. On the 11th of July, more sensitive. So that's not the day to be cracking yo mama jokes. Is not the time. Don't be cracking jokes about anything to do with someone's identity or their family or anything like that on the 11th, because people want to sock you in your jaw. Like, people won't be playing around, you know what I mean? So that's on the 11th of July. But that fighter spirit, that passion is definitely there, which can be really dope for other things. So the moon is in Aries until the 13th, and I'm only covering through the 12th. So that's pretty much it, you guys. But yeah, just Mercury, it goes direct on the 12th. It's super early in the morning here on the West Coast. But I think it was like at 1 a.m. or I don't know. Yeah, or maybe, yeah, it's on the 12th. Duh. Okay. Wait, or maybe it's the 11th. I don't know. But anyway, Mercury is going to go direct. Okay, it's the 11th. My bad. I wrote the wrong notes down. Okay, so Mercury is going to go direct on the 11th of July. Yeah, okay. Because you see it switches from red to white. Okay. But Mercury's going to go direct. Now, I always say this, you guys. Mercury's going to go direct, yes, but that doesn't mean on the day Mercury goes direct, hallelujah, everything in life is just fixed and perfect, and everything that Mercury rules, which is contracts and agreements and technology, including small devices you use for communication, your vehicles, all that stuff. It doesn't mean everything in a snap, in a flash is just like back to normal. No. Okay? No. It means things are going to start proceeding ahead with more clarity, but that clarity is going to be a slow gain. Okay, it's not going to be like exact, like, oh, the fog has cleared, da 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 da, let's go back to normal, y'all. No. So we still have a couple of weeks, I'll say, until around July 25th, 26th. It's actually, if we're going to get real technical and nerdy around here, when Mercury, it surpasses the degree which it went retrograde in, that's when we're in the clear. That's how we can tell. And that is 14 degrees of Cancer. So when does Mercury get past 14 degrees of Cancer again? That is, okay, around the 27th of July. So that is when Mercury is technically out of shadow period. And until then, from the 11th until the 27th, you may still see things that are wonky. They're a little weird, and off with Mercury ruled things. Communication can still be weird. The stupid autocorrect on phones and other devices, oh my gosh, it's so annoying. Like, texting is so irritating when Mercury's retrograde and in shadow period. It's like, it makes me look hella illiterate. I can't stand it. And then I'm a 6th houser, so that's like Virgo energy. So I'll go back and correct everything because I hate it. But sometimes I don't. So if you guys follow me on IG and see what I post in my stories, yeah, there will be typos. And sometimes I know there was something I was discussing with a friend, and I got something confused that I saw in the news. Like, I got people confused, and I was like, oh my God, about it. But I got 2 people mixed up, and things like that will still happen when Mercury is in shadow period. So just be aware of that. So the 11th, yes, things will start to eventually become clear. Okay. So that's it, you guys. That's it for the forecast cosmic weather from July 5th through the 12th of 2020. So once again, stay safe out there, stay healthy, and I will see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to peep the July overall forecast. There's still a lot of important info in there. And you can also look ahead and see what else is going on in this month after this week if you'd like to. So also, yeah, follow me on IG. A lot of times I post horoscope stuff. I do have a highlights tab that's labeled horoscopes, and I try to keep up with the latest. And I do sometimes give horoscopes for each sign, little blurbs, about important transits. So check it out, and I will see you guys next week. All right, peace.